by Rob and Dave, a podcast dedicated to all things Rose Heresy and the Northwest region of America. Please stay tuned for the next transmission.
Hey everyone out there, it's Rob.
And this is Dave.
And we're back with the Northwest 30K Voxcaster thingy, Bob.
It sounds like we're still rookies, but we're not.
No, we're highly advanced, trained individuals. We always know what we're doing at all times. You should see our sound booth. I mean, it would make Howard Stern depressed.
Jealous.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like he did something wrong his whole life.
He called us up He called us up the other day for technical advice.
Yeah, and we were like, what are you doing now? Does it pertain to alcohol? Then you're doing it wrong.
That's exactly it. So, Rob, it's been quite a busy couple weeks for both of us. You know, we get back from LBO, we recorded our last episode
and then,
stuff, and we talked a little bit about that and had a good time, and we got back to real life. And
it came in like a wrecking ball, actually.
Yeah. Isn't that funny how that works?
It is. It's amazing how life is like a pendulum. You push it away from you, try to escape it, but it only comes back twice as fast.
Never in hard. Very hard.
Oh, yeah. What have you been up to, man, last couple of weeks? What have you been doing?
Well, last couple of weeks I've been working like a dog. But, let's see. Been working a little bit on my projects for this year's campaign that I'm going to run down here. I'm calling it. Hold on, let me look this up here.
God, you're never prepared.
By now, right?
You're never prepared, like I am.
Well, I am, but I was prepared to talk about, you know, my the Ultramarines I'm working on, which to me, I've changed the paint scheme I think 3 times. I had one to look like Captain America. That was amazing, and that got repainted immediately.
You should have left it.
But I'm having a lot of fun with them. So the campaign I'm running this year, it's going to be called Tides of the Corrupted.
Nice.
And what it's going to be, it's going to involve all legions or heresy armies available. So there's no questions on who's where and what and how do you handle this. It's all basically going to be a very much objective-based campaign. It's going to affect everything from one game to the other. Hopefully get some new players in our area in. But they got the Invitational, it's already sold out. So I got, I think, 24 players showing to that. So
congrats, man. That's awesome.
It's going to be amazing. I think it was the Sasquatch that sold it out.
It's always a Sam Squanch, man. It's always a Sam Squanch.
So I'm going to take that to a new level, I think. Each table is going to have a third party.
Oh, God.
It's going to be amazing.
You're just going to have...
Well, and people are going to cry. I'm sure I'm going to have some complaints, but we got to try it out.
You should reach out to that TV show on, is it Discovery or History, Unsolved Mysteries? See if they can't sponsor you.
That would be amazing.
Unsolved Mysteries there, like the dudes all walk around in a trench coat, just like, tonight, an Unsolved Mysteries. A heightened Sasquatch sightage here in Seattle, Washington. Sasquatch is everywhere.
That's exactly it. And I've got to call out to a couple of guys to borrow some Icy Eddie models from GW and some other models. It's going to be awesome. Saying a lot all of a sudden.
Dude, you should... Wait a minute. Dude, I got...
What?
Oh, you should reach out to Bigfoot Java.
Who?
Bigfoot Java.
Where is he?
Well, no, it's like an espresso chain there that I saw in Washington. It's just called Bigfoot Java. Like they're on every corner, like Starbucks.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't hear Java. I heard something. I heard Java. I'm like, what the hell is Java?
Dude, no, okay. You should like reach out to them. Like, I wonder if they would do anything like free coffee coupons or anything like that for anybody who killed the Sasquatches.
I might actually do that. That would be pretty amazing.
That'd be so funny. Like, congratulations, you killed the Sasquatch. Like, here's a free coffee from Bigfoot Java. Like, that'd be so funny.
I have a feeling whoever faces the Sasquatch are not going to be very happy with me. That's all I'm gonna. These guys, I'm like, I've got to make them a challenge, but it's going to be bad.
Reminds me of Luke Skywalker in the Battle of Hoth when he's on Hoth and he gets taken by that Yeti thing. Like, just,
pretty near.
Oh. That's awesome.
So with the Talons of the Emperor being released with Sisters and Custodes and all, so I'm expecting to see quite a few of those armies pop up, mainly Custodes.
Yeah.
So I've got to make adjustments to the campaign to kind of allow them to be able to play at full force but not cheese out the other armies. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's being objective-based forces people to play more tactically rather than just come in and raffle stomp people.
Well, I mean, it's not just the objective. I mean, you're right. It is the objective base that tones people back, but it's the fact that like only certain things can score. It's the in-game rules themselves that make people scale back. Because when they got to be concerned about scoring, they're not going to go balls to the wall right from the get-go.
And that's exactly it. Because the way I run objectives is I've even posted that, plan on having, you want units that can score. If you don't have units that can score, you're not going to go anywhere in a campaign.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping to see a lot of troop choices, lots of, I love Terminators on the field, just one of the few games you can actually utilize them. So it's going to be a lot of fun, I think. And I'm sure a lot of people are looking forward to it, gotten some feedback.
Oh, yeah,
so that's what I've been working on. I know you got plans similar, so why don't you go ahead and share your grandiose plans coming up?
Yeah, I've actually been really busy. So in the month of March, I've got 3 Heresy events in my area. So March is going to be a busy gaming month.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I've got one in Fairbanks and then one in Anchorage and one in Wasilla. I've officially kicked off. We recorded this on Sunday the 26th. I officially kicked off our YouTube channel last night with my first battle report. For those who have watched it, I know it's very much in the infancy stage, and I'm still working on the editing part of it and the video quality, so that's kind of going to be a work in progress, but I thought it came out pretty decently well, considering what it was and exactly how much alcohol I consumed while recording it and editing it, so hey, that's kind of a success story in itself. So if everything goes according to plan, we'll have at least 1 to 2 battle reports a week coming out on that channel. So that's just going to be basically covering what we got going on in the area. Not only that, but I've also started with joining with Tier 1 cards and games. We started the Artist Trident campaign. It's going to be a 3 games day event, narrative campaign that goes on for the year of 2017. Our games days are April 1st, July or August 3rd or 7th, I believe, and then November 4th. Each games day, it's a 3-round. Basically, people show up, they register their name, their legion, and their loyalties, and then they stick to that for the entirety of the narrative. Now, you don't have to play all 3 games day to play a part, because the end game of the narrative is based on your faction. It's not based on an army or an individual. So you could come in and play, say, games day 1, miss out games day 2, and still play a role in games day 3. So for people with conflicting schedules or go hunting or going to be out of town for work, they can still participate. But the story behind it is the Artist Trident is a 3 planetary cluster that's on the outside of the McCrag system, eastern side of Sol, and it was a dry dock facility for massive expeditionary fleets that were in transit over the eastern fringes that needed dry dock repairs and munitions restorages and surf replenishment and et cetera, et cetera. And the story behind it is after the Shadow Crusade that went through in McCrag, when the Ultramarines and the Blood Angels and the Dark Angels were finally able to push back the traitor forces and they started going on the retreat, Rabute and Lionel basically made the decision that they need to start garrisoning the Artist Trident because it was so close to McCrag that they knew after the pummeling that the Trader forces got from Shadow Crusade that they'd want to try to secure that to try to resupply before they went further into Terra, right?
Yeah.
Not with the thought of they're going to go siege to Terra. This is still during Imperium Secundus, but they knew they were trying to dominate control of the Sol system. With them being blind from the warp storms, they sent, Blood Angels, Ultramarines, Dark Angels, Shattered Legions that actually had commandeered some of the Trader ships, some Maniples of Cybernetica to go in and reinforce this Trident in the hopes of being able to blockade the spearhead they knew was coming towards the cluster eventually, in the hopes of doing a counterattack and totally wiping out the forces. What they didn't know, though, was once everybody repelled back from the Shadow Crusade, Lorgar basically held a war council with Horus and Angron, basically vocalizing the same concern that Rabute had, and that that they're going to push forward further, they're going to have to secure this cluster. But with the forces they have, Rabute obviously is going to already calculate exactly what they're going to have, so they don't have enough forces supplemented enough to be able to take the Trident, right? So Horus then takes 4 other Trader Legions and Dark Mechanicum and reinforces the fleet to intersect. So when they show up to the Trident, basically they show up with original forces from the Shadow Crusade and then play to Rabute's hubris with twice as much reinforcements. And then that's the Artist Trident conflict. That's the entire conflict. So each Games Day is going to take place on each of the 3 planets. And the last Games Day, November 4th, is going to be the battle over the last planet of the Trident. And whoever holds it basically wins the campaign and is able to propel the storyline further. And in order to show the dominance of this, of the story itself, each Games Day that we have, the ending outcome of it, whether Traders do a majority win or Loyalists do a majority win, the winners of such are going to get a boon from that planet. As an example, Navelos is the first planet that's going to be on April 1st, and it's a dry dock facility. Like, it literally is a harbor. That's what it is. It's there with 4 different quadrants of harboring or anchorage for fleets, ranging from 21 cruisers to 7 battle barges per quadrant. There's 4 quadrants on the planet. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's a massive facility. It's made for an expeditionary fleet, right? Like support vessels. No civilian life, death world planet, an atmosphere that's high in methane and radiation saturation. It's prone for firestorms. It's not a habitable planet. But what it is known for is the mass amount of promethium on the planet and the mass amount of munition storages. So it's able to harbor all these fleets, right? So I'm not going to leak what the winner faction will get from this, but let's just say that securing this planet first is really going to make the big difference in whether the Traders get a really good advance on ground assaults for the other 2 planets, or if the Loyalists are able to force them to go into a more of an aerial campaign or an orbital campaign. So
nice.
Yeah, so it's going to progress like that, and we have it structured where all the prize support too. The only prize factions we have is for Wooden Spoon and Best in Show. Best in Show is community voted, and it's a 3-parter. It's thematic list, army painting, and army display. Like, how did you present your legion for the game? I mean, it's a big difference between if you have a display board or if you're in a foam tray. And then Wooden Spoon, I'm going to have everybody track their victory points for every game. It's not for best general, but it's to say who got their butt kicked the most. And those 2, those 2 spots are going to get prize support. They're going to be Heresy themed. And it's not going to be just a box set. It's actually going to be Heresy units that are ambiguous for any legion and beneficial for any legion, or Solar Auxilia, or Mechanicum. So if anyone gets their butt kicked too bad, they'll get a nice reinforcement for their list that we can see at the next Games Day 4 months later. So
are you going to keep track of that yourself as well?
Yep, keeping track of all of it.
Nice. Yeah, that's what I'll be doing too.
Yeah, luckily my profession helps me a lot in that, so it's not too terribly difficult. It's a matter of making sure that record keeping's right. But the only restrictions we're putting on the event is Games Day 2 and 3 will be 3 paint minimum. First Games Day is not. I dropped it too soon. So anybody who's got great models, we preferred them primered, but just show up, play. And beyond that, when you do show up for a games day, whether it's games day 1, 2, or 3, whatever legion you register with and whatever faction you register with, that's the one you're held to. So you can't change legions and you can't change armies in between games days. That being said, though, your faction might change based on attendance. And with attendance, too, price support's also affected by that. So the more people who join these games day, the bigger your price support's going to be, and the more rewarding that's going to be as well. So it's one of those things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, with you running your events, you know how it works. So you got to be a little ambiguous as far as things like that for scoring, because you don't want to have, one team have 7 members, another one have 4.
Yeah, I get it. It's balancing act.
Yep, it's always a scales, man.
Yeah, it sounds like you got big plans. I'm really liking this. Later on in the episode, we'll be hearing from the Rose City guys.
Mm-hmm.
And, we got events popping up to the south of the Seattle area. We got Rob running the Alaskan things. We got Seattle area. Hopefully we'll see more on the Eastern Washington, Southern Idaho even. I've joined their groups and got more dialogue going on with them too. So
that's awesome. Oh,
it's what?
That reminds me, actually, my last little plug too. So Battlezone Ursa is the yearly Alaska Wargamers event, Wargamers Con that goes on every year.
Mm-hmm.
And they have secured their slots. They've secured the venue. It's going to be at the Egan Center, downtown Anchorage, like we spoke about in the last episode. But I did find this out for anybody who plays Heresy. So the Heresy event is a 1-day. It's on a Saturday night, actually. And it's a 3-round game event. The cool part is the next day, it's Adeptus Titanicus.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. So if anybody wants to come up to Anchorage to participate in Battlezone Ursa, we got Heresy on, I believe it's a Saturday, and then on the Sunday is Adeptus Titanicus. So bring your Warhounds, bring your Knights, bring your Reavers, bring your Warlords, bring it.
When's the dates on this?
This is actually, see, now you caught me off guard. Oh, I believe it's the second weekend of September, if I remember correctly. Once we get closer to the dates, I'll be sharing that event more thoroughly once we have all the time blocks scheduled in. But yeah, that is the event. So
yeah, it's like there's some big things going on. That's like, I mean, it's like we got in my area. I got got a hold of Evan Lauscher, who runs Games and Gizmos, owner there. He put on Dragonflight last year for me, a 30K event there. And we were just talking the day before yesterday about it. And so it sounds like we're going to be running the Dragonflight for me will be happening. I want to run a 2-day event for that. I think it would be amazing.
Dude, you got to let me know the dates, man, because I'll be down there for it.
I'll definitely tell you. I know it's going to be the end of August. It's one of the last 2 weekends of August. Because it usually falls on a training camp when the Seahawks come in, right from training. And sometimes they stay because it's at the Hilton in Bellevue.
Mm-hmm.
And the players stay there. So it's kind of like, football players and nerds. It's hilarious.
That's awesome.
It is. But it's an experience. I really enjoyed it. So that being said, so much stuff going on. It's crazy. We're busy this year, guys. Isn't that awesome or what?
That is it's so badass, man. It's badass to see everything just start exploding and start just picking up speed and momentum.
Yeah. One thing, too, is we got a guy named Richard Johnson in our area. He helps me run some of the events down here, provides a lot of this prize support. He's also doing an escalation group for Zone Mortalis.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Oh, yeah. 1,000 points. That's literally a Betrayal Cal set or the Burning Prospero set. It's big, and Zone Mortalis, if anybody is not really familiar with it, is a really good way to get into the Horus Heresy on a smaller scale. You don't have to put the money in it, per se, that you do building big armies.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of fun. Play the game. And mind you, we just ran whatever we had. So I ran Kurz. He's a Lord of War. It's not normal, but it was a lot of fun. So
That's awesome. Zone
But
Mortalis.
he's doing that. So.
And the other part too is like if anybody hasn't played Zone Mortalis or at least Zone Mortalis for the Heresy, like Zone Mortalis and the Heresy is totally different than 40k. Have you ever done the 40k version? And
yeah,
because they put their own rules in it, but also because of the way that your units fall back and can run away and stuff, it's a really big detriment. But it's also a lot of fun. It's really fast. Like I haven't had a Zone Mortalis game last more than an hour.
I think ours lasted 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's
now, mind you, he was using Dark Mechanicum dudes that are like horrible. He just ate through my Terminators, and Kurz held his own, and that was about it. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and the way I'm incorporating his deal into my events because with some more Zone Mortalis people popping up, we've got people with 3 boards, maybe 4 boards down here that we can use at events. So I think I'm going to be including them more and more for people who are starting out. So I think it'll get. I think Zone Mortalis, and I want to try Kill Team, do a 30k Kill Team. So I have the rules for that now, and I'm thinking of coming up with a 30k Kill Team for those who just want to play a real quick game.
Totally, just
I think it'd be fun.
Absolutely. I mean, the funny thing with Kill Team is that's just enough points for you to have a very basic Terminator squad. Like
that, or but you can tactical squad or Sisters of Silence. You know, you could take 3 custodes. Ooh.
Yep. Yeah, it's super small. That's awesome.
Have choices. Actually, I think you only can take 2 custodes. But anyway, it's there's so many options for 30k right now. It's amazing. We just have to be imaginative.
Yep, and it just keeps going. I'm honestly, I'll have to say, like, I'm looking forward to the Artist Trident. Obviously, because I'm coordinating it, but a little sweet guilty pleasure I got is I'm looking forward to the Adeptus Titanicus in September. Like I'm eyeballing a Reaver.
Those things are amazing. A buddy of mine has one of those. I never actually. This is going to sound horrible. I've never actually seen a Reaver Titan in person until this last year. I think in December.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was beautiful. I didn't think they were that cool. You see them in pictures. They're Titan. All Titans are cool, but this one was so well painted.
Mm-hmm.
It was just they're beautiful, and it's like me and the artwork about it. I appreciate that, and how he had it painted up. It matched. It was just Whoever gets to paint these things, I'm a little jealous. I won't lie. I know Rob's done a commission or 2, but not me.
Yeah, it's I don't know how to explain it, but when you paint a Titan, you get kind of I won't say emotionally invested. I'll say passionately invested into what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because you learn every intricate piece of that model. You find a lot of things that even the owners don't even know that's on it. No, I mean I've only got my Warhound for House Gryphonicus or Legio Gryphonicus, but I do plan on adding another Warhound, and I plan on having the Reaver and the Warlord to finish out the Talon, the Legio. That's
nice.
That's the end game. I'm not saying that's going to happen before September. I'm just saying that's my goal. I want to have a Legio, man. Like I don't know what it is, but especially with the Adeptus Titanicus, I want to play with big robots.
Well, now they got the Dark Mechanicum come now.
Yep.
So you can always kind of go that route. You want to talk about lots of robots.
And now we got.
I noticed that. Go ahead.
Now we got the Psi Titans.
Yeah. I got a bunch of Imperial Knights. We just run those at each other, Yeah, so I noticed that you got your Primarch for Salamanders done Vulcan. I was looking at that. I'm impressed, dude. That's very pretty.
Thank you, man. I was so intimidated about painting him that I held him off for over a year. I was like, I just don't want to do him wrong, And then I just, I was looking at my to-do pile, and my Salamanders are almost done. I'm only like 20 infantry guys and 1 character away from finishing them. Oh, and a flyer. And I was like, I got to do Vulcan, man. Like, I need Vulcan. I need to do them. And so I just bunkered down and did them, and I got them done in 2 days.
So how many little intricate pieces did you not realize he had until you started in?
Oh, my God, dude. I think the biggest tall-tailing ones were the gems. in his armor.
Uh-huh.
And you're hobbying, aren't you?
No, I'm actually, well, yeah, a little bit.
Okay, I was about to say, like, man, I'm hearing a file going off. You hobbying, dude? Look at you, you crack addict.
Yeah, sorry.
Um,
I'm actually sharpening my clippers.
God. Which reminds me, I did the same thing.
I didn't realize I was leaning that close to it. I'm like, yeah. I'm like sawing away. I'm like, yada. Anyway.
No,
I'm like, we're talking about hobbying. I'm like, I need to fix those. Okay, we're good now. I'm done. So who heard me filing? Pretty much everybody?
Yeah, pretty much. You jerk. No,
I can't help it.
No, as far as details go with Vulcan, yeah, it has to be the gemstones, like in his hammer. I didn't realize he had so many like gemstones in it, and I'd have to say that the other detail would probably be his leg armor. Now, when I painted him, I painted his armor and his Drake scale cloak and his face exactly per the Forge World formula. Like I emailed them and asked them like, what were the steps you did to paint Vulcan like you have in your photos?
Nice.
Their formula, I matched it exactly. But the only thing I did differently was the leg armor and the flames. I don't agree with the photos of him that have like his flames on his armor like painted like flames. Partly because if you look at like the metal trimming on his armor plates, they kind of go into the flames, so it seems like it's all supposed to be one golden piece and not like separated. That and like, I just feel like the Primarch of the Salamanders would have everything decked out in gold. Like it would be a decked out suit of armor, right? It wouldn't be painted red.
Oh hell yeah!
It would be gold. So like when I did his leg armor and stuff, I actually used 4 different types of gold in his leg armor. Because like he's got like these sigils of like the double hammer behind the anvil or on top of the anvil on top of flames. So like the flames in the leg armor is one kind of gold, and then the anvil's a different kind of gold, and then the hammers are a different kind of gold, and then the trim around the leg armor is a different kind of gold, and then the vents on the back of his legs are a different kind of gold. Because I mean he's gonna be decked out in all the different kind of minerals that Nocturne has to offer. You know, that's the way I see it. So. No, he was a blast. He was a blast to paint. I'm not afraid of Primarch models anymore. They're probably the most funnest thing I've ever painted yet in the Heresy line.
Yeah, I sent it when I think I did a spiel a couple episodes ago about me doing Curs, and I know I wrote something up on Facebook about it. You got to give those artists and sculptors kudos, because there are things when you look at the model, and those people who happen to buy third party miss out on is the intricate detail that you won't see until you put the model together. There's skulls on the inside of like Curse's pauldrons. You don't see it. You kind of wonder what the heck those bumps are there for, and then you wash it, and all of a sudden you see a skull, and you're like, what the hell? And I'm a detail-oriented person. I noticed stuff like that, and I didn't catch that right away. I was impressed, and putting that armor together for Curse from Forge World, those guys did amazing. And I know Vulcan is amazing detail. All the scales on the armor is just. I'm intimidated looking at that. I was curious on how well it would go together.
Oh yeah, it was. I'll have to admit that after I got done painting them, because I painted them in sub-assemblies, when I went to go put them together, I was like, oh shit, at what point do I put that on here? I was like, uh-oh, and I didn't have the instructions. I've had the model itself for over a year, so those are lost in a bin somewhere, right?
Yeah.
But I think another surprising detail now that I think about it, did you know that Vulcan's got Drake teeth hanging off his belt?
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, like that was something that I was painting his armor, and I was like, what the hell? Are those teeth? Those are teeth. Those are teeth hanging off his like his hip guards. I was like, wow, I didn't even see that. Like weird.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a fun model. It was a fun model.
Yes. See, I've got Mortarion and I've got Gilliman to do, and I mean Gilliman's obviously for my Ultramarine. So I didn't tell you I was doing Death Guard, did I? No. So anyway.
No, you did last episode. You said, "Oh yeah, man, I fell. I'm doing Death Guard," and I was like, "Well, I can't blame you. I'm on the bandwagon for Thousand Suns. I get it."
Oh, yeah. So anyway, so my Ultramarines for a while now, and I look at them and I'm like, God, And I'm almost afraid to tackle him because so many golds and blues. I love golds and blues, obviously, since I'm a Night Lord player.
Mm-hmm.
It helps, but it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. And the Primarchs have made me really enjoy the detail more so than any of the other models, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and their detail's easier to work with. I don't know how to best explain it. Like like an example, like my Pyroclast, right? Like those were not a labor of love. That was a labor of utter just frustration. They're great models. They look awesome. They are cool. They are way too detailed for what they are. Like that they're more detailed than a Praetor. And it was just kind of like, God, like these are taking forever because the amount of detail on them. They're great, but it's like, man, they're all tiny and it's hard to get to. And like sub-assemblies would make it a little bit easier, but it's still a pain in the ass. Primarchs aren't like that. It's like the sculptors made them with the intent that you can get access to everything you need to get to access to.
Yeah, it's like me. I was putting those Night Raptors together, and yeah, I didn't. Yeah, there's so much detail. But you get the custom models or the custom units for the legions. You're in for a treat. If you love modeling, you're gonna love. It doesn't matter what legion they are. They got some beautiful ones. I've got some. The shields from the Ultramarines at LVO and stuff, and there's so much detail in those stupid things. I'm just like, wow.
Yeah, like at one hand you look at those kits and you're just like, man, this is awesome, and then on the other hand you're like, but it's just a fucking boarding shield.
I sit up thinking to myself, it's like, well, you want it to be more because they got the Praetorians, or not Praetorians, yeah, the Praetorian Guard or whatever for the Ultramarines. So that's why they're a little more fancy, but they all got power swords, and I got a Invictus Axe in there, and like even the swords have Ultramarine symbols on them, and it's like this is gonna be sick.
Oh yeah, they're gonna look
I'm
awesome.
have the most beautiful boarding shields ever.
Yeah, they're gonna look awesome when they're done. Just it's gonna take you a week to get them done.
Well, it's gonna take me a month. You don't realize how long it's taking me to do 2 Terminators. I'm trying really hard. This is gonna be my slow, fancy army. I've called them the Honor of the 500 Worlds, so I've got to live up to that.
Well, if you need any help painting them, I know a guy.
Yeah, I do too. His name's Dave, and that's why he does his hobby.
How long did you go? That's rebuttal.
And plus, my wife won't let me buy any more models for a little while until she gets back from Disneyland.
Yep, I understand that. Well, speaking, we were talking earlier about our events and stuff about the Rose City. We have actually got an interview with Matt Braddock and Chris. I didn't get his last name, but they're out of the Rose City Heresy group. You can find them on Facebook, but they're based out of Portland, Oregon.
Yep.
And they're actually having a pretty eventful heresy scene developing there. And Dave and I was able to sit down and chat with them about the OFCC and some other events coming up. So I guess we'll lead into that. Yeah?
Sounds like a plan, sir.
Perfect. We'll see you guys after the interview.
Now we're joined with the Rose City Heresy group. We've got Chris and Matt with us this evening.
Hey, how's it going?
So
welcome for having us on the show.
On
the show, appreciate being on.
Yeah. So, we've been talking about interviewing you guys for the last, I think 3 episodes, and this is the first time Rob and I have actually been able to connect with you guys. Right. Schedules are crazy.
This is on our part because it gave us a little time for you guys to build up your podcast so we reach a larger group now.
Yeah.
It was just strategic.
It's always strategic with us. Nice. So we see that you guys are post an event coming up in July, the OFCC and stuff. And knowing that that's a pretty big deal, why don't you guys go ahead and tell us how you guys started out?
So I started the group right about the same time the Northwest 30K Legions United group started. I've always played 40K. I started in 2nd edition, and I really like friendly, not competitive play.
Yeah.
So when I discovered 30K, I discovered that it was less competitive. So I started the group hoping to find other people who were like-minded. And Chris came along, probably the 3rd person in our group, and now he's one of the major mover and shakers in our group.
Nice.
Yeah, I moved here a year ago and kind of just wandered into Dice Age, and Matt was playing. I moved here a year ago into Dice Age, and Matt was playing. I was supposed to meet some guy from Ordo there for a 9th Age game actually, and that didn't work out. Play with some other guys, and I've always been interested in all that 40K stuff. Like I'm a total noob. Like my group from back home never played it. And I always played historicals and stuff. So when I got here, kind of made it a point to at least look into it. And I saw those guys playing. Matt was talking. He pretty much wouldn't stop talking to me about what they were doing, and I was totally into it. So that night I joined a Facebook group, and there was at that time about 12 of us. And then now there's like 80 or 83 or so, like then a handful of active players in the group. But like Matt said, we're all just friendly gamers that like to play the game. And we're not power players or dicks like that. And we just like to hang out. We usually hang out at Beat and Fury Games up in Vancouver on Saturday nights because they're up until 2 a.m. One of the only places around that does that.
Big Three Games, pretty good guys over there. Joe, the owner, he's kind of an old school gamer. He's big into Infinity, but he's been letting us do 30K on the way.
I haven't been in a team now.
That's awesome. That's actually pretty cool to have a store that's open that late.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
kidding.
Beer now too and everything. It's the ideal setup, if you like that shit.
Oh, of course. Who doesn't like beer?
I mean, I can't drink, but it's still a party place. I can still party out there. They're open till 2 a.m. I can play games all night.
And the other main venue we have is Western Oregon War Gamers. It's the it's the gaming club. It's open to the public for Ordo Fanaticus. They're the local gaming group here in the Portland, Oregon area. They actually organize the OFCC, the event that's coming up. Talk about that when you're ready for us to talk about that. Usually costs $5 for non-members to come in. They have 3 rooms and I think 7 tables. You can just go in there and play. It's a little hard to find them.
Awesome terrain too.
Yeah, all their terrain is painted. They have battle mats and everything. It's really nice.
Oh,
Nice.
perfect.
So how do you guys find what's easiest to grow your community down there?
I would give credit to Ordo, to be honest, because that's how I even ended up at Dice Age to meet Matt in the first place. So, like, if we're gonna go origin stories, I signed up on Ordo before I even moved here to find a game when I got here, and that's pretty much how it worked out. I think a lot of people went that way too.
Yeah, the Ordo Fanaticus is a pretty old gaming group here in the Portland area. So a lot of contacts. Even if you don't play 30K, you can get contacts with pretty much every system. So that helped grow our group because a lot of the Ordo guys joined our Facebook group. But I also find that the easy communication of our Facebook group gets people to organize games for, like, they know the game day's coming up, so they just hit on there like, hey, I'm looking for a game Saturday, Sunday, or Tuesday, and people are like, oh yeah, I'm down.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the ideal situation for me. I'm always up for a game.
And having those 3 regular days a week actually help have us the stability to be able to support the gaming community. So people know that any Tuesday, Sunday, or Saturday they can go out and get a game.
Yeah, it's really different from the East Coast. It's really different. It's not hard to find games, but there's no real communities out there,
Right.
that I know of, and I grew up out there.
And our group is really based on friendly, non-competitive play. So we're really big on keeping everything 30K model accurate, painting our. I got like 3 models left of fully painted army. So
Nice.
Right
most
on.
of our guys build themed armies based on their legions. So you don't really have as many power players in our group as other places.
Yeah.
It's really fluff oriented, which is my favorite part of it. But I mean, you don't have
So I think that's
to play whoever, but for most of us, the fluffy nature of everything is the most important.
Yeah.
That's really good too, because I mean, not to talk down about Vegas or whatnot, We've seen quite a few competitive lists even in 30K. I don't push that up here at all by any means, but
Yep.
I love fluffy armies.
Now,
Yeah, that's one of the reasons drove me away from 40K. I'm a huge Orc player. I've been playing Orc since 2nd edition. And the competitive nature of 40K, the win at all cost players, and the lack of playability against those armies with the Orc army has kind of driven me away from 40K.
yeah.
Almost gave it up completely until I discovered the Horus Heresy stuff.
Nice.
Now I'm playing Alpha Legion. My biggest bitch about 30K, though, is there's no Orcs.
Well,
Yeah.
you could always come up with some reason to play them, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Well-
I feel like they're doing Crusade era game. They're there.
Well, I was going to say, too, you say there's no orcs. You say there's no orcs, but that's a matter of yet. Alan Bly already said that they're going to have Xenos races during the Scouring expansion. So.
Now, that would be interesting if they do. Currently, with the point system difference between 30K and 40K, I find that 40K armies tend to beat 30K armies, but the Orc army is so low powered, it actually kind of balances out pretty well.
Yep.
It's kind of like that in the NIDS.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just don't spam bulk guides when you play Orcs or Tyranid, otherwise you're just gonna
be that guy. You see?
Main reason we do it. Nice. Yeah, so I was like, so tell us a little bit about your guys' selves. I mean, why you choose what armies, yada yada. I mean, introduce yourselves to the community, because people hear this and they're down in the area, they're going to come looking for you, I'm sure of it.
Right.
Well,
you can go first, Matt.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm Matt Braddock, old Army vet, 10 years in, and got out and started organizing the gaming community a little bit down here. I started in 2nd edition. I think it was right after the Angels of Death Codex came out. My buddy got into the Blood Angels. And I've always been a big Orc player due to how much you can do on the conversion level and the modeling level on Orcs. That's kind of like their slapstick humor.
Yeah.
But we've been playing that for a long time. We used to play at a store called Z Games here in Vancouver, Washington, which is right over the river from Portland.
Right.
And I played for a while over at Guardian Games, which is another one. My buddy Bo used to organize a Warhammer league out there. He used to play in that. Yeah, that's about it. Then I started up the 30K thing and been doing that. Also, a huge fan of all the specialist games like Necromunda. Orcamorph is one of my favorites. My personal group plays that quite a bit. So,
nice.
Chris, you want to go?
So, actually, hold on, Matt. I got a question for you. So, when you first started this all out, I mean, did you have anybody else in your area? You guys, a couple of your buddies get together and say, hey, let's try out 30K, or you just see it and say, what the hell?
I originally bought, because I'm a big fan of the Mark 6 armor, I originally bought the Mark 6 from Forge World, and then when I was looking at the site, I saw the Horus Heresy stuff, and I started looking at it. I'm like, wow, this stuff is pretty cool. And I have no idea kind of what the jumping point was where me and my buddies go, let's do some 30K. My buddy Jason did Iron Warriors. He has a huge Iron Warrior light infantry army. I think he drops, 60 tactical marines and 20-man blob squads at me. Which doesn't sound like much, but Iron Warriors don't run.
Nope. No. I love blob squads.
I finally took those jerks down, though.
I really like the metallic. I wanted to try my hand at metallic paint scheme, and I really like that metallic blue of the Alpha Legion. So I started doing Alpha Legion, and they also had Mark 6. So I did a Mark 6 veteran squad with the. And most of my stuff, veteran or elite units in my army are Mark 6. So from there, I just kept on collecting more and more and wound up with the 30K army. And my buddy Bradley did a Raven Guard army. He has a completely Mark 6 Raven Guard army.
That's awesome. I can appreciate that.
He's currently working on a project of making some of the rough, the roughs and the smooths and the raptors, because he's theming off the raptors.
Yep.
He's modeling some mutated raptors, the roughs, in his army. They're looking pretty good. I wish I had a picture to show you.
That's awesome.
Well, if you get one, just post it up on the Northwest 30K Boxcast. I believe you guys are in that and stuff, so people take a look.
Spam it.
Don't feel bad about spamming your stuff on our groups. Just so you know. Well, that's awesome, Matt.
The OFCC, I'll probably be spamming that a little, or quite a bit.
We have no problem with that. I'm even trying to contact with a group from Boise, and I think they got a whole 10 people in that group in Coeur d'Alene, Spokane area. Slowly spreading our wings. So, like I said, anything that you got, by all means, don't be afraid to share. It's a big community, and that's why we're reaching out. So
We're just trying to connect
we'll
the
go ahead
dots.
and, Chris, you hail from Virginia via Portland now.
Yeah. Now I've been here about a year now. I'm just a nerd metalhead dude from East Coast. I played historicals mostly for my group. I owned the 3rd edition box, but never got to play the game with anybody back there. And then the group that I fell into, they detested anything 40K or 30. They wouldn't play 30K to save their lives.
Yeah.
So when I got here and I saw Matt play, I was like, well, there's nobody else here, so I'm going to try playing on the way in. And I started with militia. And I went with a different kind of theme. I was kind of painted as early war Russian. But I went to a different theme with the actual Warhammer fluff. And I changed to the Ultramarines. What was really striking to me. And I kind of like how everybody hates them.
Oh, yeah. I'm doing Ultramarine Army myself, so I get it. We're called Smurfs.
Yeah, you just have to change the perception, I guess, each game. Because I'm not a dick, so they're like, okay, so I don't mind playing that Ultramarine player because he's kind of cool. And he paints all this stuff. Like I paint just constantly. It's not the best, but it's painted and it's completed. So I kind of take pride in all that stuff. And the actual theme for my Ultramarine is the remnants of the 112.
Nice.
It's all Mark IV and Mars pattern armor. So
Good.
Looking for some artillery stuff now.
Nice. So I'm kind of getting a theme from you both. You guys really like the more of the background than so much of the army.
Yeah, I think most of the people well.
One at a time. Go ahead, Matt.
No, yeah, I think most of the people in our group are really enjoy building themed armies and kind of looking into the fluff and figuring out what will work on the table and have that fluff built with it. So when you look at it, you see it like, oh wow, that's awesome.
Nice.
Not just whatever units are powerful.
Yeah.
It just helps with the whole immersiveness of the game. Just to go even further into the story and bring it to the table, and just you're reenacting certain things, and that's just being a historical player. That's a big thing for me. I kind of approach it the same way as I would a historical game. Like I want to know what's there, who was there, what they were using, and I want to put that in my lists.
And invest yourself in the lore, more or less. Totally.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. My army gets I get pretty ADD on keeping everything fluff accurate equipment wise, and even having pioneer kits.
That's the craziest one in the group with that.
I've seen. I'm gonna tease them a little bit about the Mark 7 armor.
I don't like it.
So that has been a discussion for the last 2 years.
Because of him.
Fluff-wise, the Mark 7 armor was first used during the Battle of Luna during the Siege of Terra.
Yep, here it is.
Yep.
That was the Siege of Terra was the only battle to actually have the Mark 7 armor.
So who all's listening to this and is not part of our Facebook groups will realize Matt and I have teased each other since day one on this one. So it's like he may not remember, but I got a long memory on this.
Oh yeah, I think
stuff
the warning pinned up on the Northwest 30K.
Yeah.
Oh, I actually remember that discussion.
We got to get new people in. Don't scare them off.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, I remember that
but
discussion.
in LVO, they didn't allow Mark 7 either, so don't feel bad on that.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I don't feel so bad now because those guys are sold. Got rid of all 5.
Yeah, it was all for fun, though. I mean, it was just when we start out, sometimes different perspectives are always what make the community interesting, I'll tell you that. But we handled it well. Anyway, well, that's cool. So now we know that you guys love your themed armies and whatnot. Your campaigns are pretty, or game days that you guys do. Do you guys basically focus on that more so than anything else?
We generally have leave it up to the players. I have plans for kind of Horus Heresy like mega battles. Do them like in 4-part campaigns. I do them all in chronological order, but that's a long-term plan. I'm kind of waiting until after the OFCC to be able to put that into effect.
Gotcha. Because I mean, I know some of you guys are coming up to our invitational here at the end of March.
Yeah, I'll be there.
So you guys
3,000 needed in time, and I got drunk too many times and forgot to sign up for the Zora Mortalis, so I kind of screwed myself on that.
You can always come up and hang out with me because I didn't even get a spot.
I might ride with Chris because I think Chris got a spot on the 3,000 points.
Yeah, me and Steven, the Salamanders player, are going to be heading up there.
Nice. Yeah, you'll find that nothing's competitive up here at all. Some of the players may try it, but you'll see that
for a couple weeks. So I just want to survive. I know you guys all pretty much came from LVO, so
no. Don't be scared by us because we all have fun. Have you guys listened to the Sasquatch talk?
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing about how that works out.
Oh yeah. So basically, every table is going to have a third-party intrusion of some sort. So don't matter how tough you got, something weird can happen. No big deal. That's what the Zone Mortalis is all about. Those guys will set off objectives, and when they do that, it'll affect tables.
Nice. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, and me and a couple of guys up here too have also talked about having a garage beer hammer day where we play Heresy, but we drink as much beer as we possibly can, and every beer can you have is an artillery strike. So basically, like if you have an empty beer can or beer bottle, you can use it like the Master Signals as bombardment. So
it's like beer hammer.
I'm going to steal that from my local group in our next game.
Yeah,
hell yeah, do it. Tell us how it goes. Do battle reports, sir.
Yeah, dude. Like, yeah.
I'll film it. Because I don't drink.
Yeah, basically the intent is the more hammered you get, the more you can kill, but you'll be so drunk you can't even hold a template.
Yeah,
so
you can still lose the game.
Yeah.
More likely will. Nice. So where do you guys see your community over the next year?
Chris, you want to start?
Yeah. Well, personally, I would like to see more events like what you're doing happening here, though. We kind of need a steady amount of people in the community. Like it's kind of a small amount of active players that we have right now. I know there's more out there. We just have to connect with them. But I would like to see more events happening and like a couple leagues starting up. We're going to start one up next week in Vancouver. Hopefully that takes off and continues for a little while.
Nice. Yeah, make sure you post all that stuff on our group sites. It's important. As one thing I said with leagues, we've had a couple come and go. I haven't done one myself. None of them have succeeded.
Well, it's kind of just going to be an ongoing campaign with a league format, like just so everybody shows up.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I was considering just fronting the cost for a couple people just to show up to get it going and see what happens after that.
That's kind of what I'm doing with the Artist Trident campaign I'm doing here in Anchorage. It's a
Chris, not to intrude, but you might want to give them a little info on like where we're doing it, what times we're doing it, and all that.
Oh, we have the main league is going to be, we're calling it Night Hammer, so it's going to be starting at 8:30 on Saturdays at Bait and Fury Games in Vancouver.
Vancouver,
Washington. Yeah, Vancouver, Washington. They're open until 2 a.m. They serve beer. There's food around there.
Nice.
And it's not that far. I'm close to it, so I would like every Saturday night to go up there, so you can at least look forward to meeting me every night.
You're doing I don't know actually too much about it. This is all kind of Chris's deal. Aren't you doing an escalation? Aren't you starting at like 1,000, 1,800?
Yeah, it's going to start with 1,500 points, an escalation up to 3,000, culminating in a big game at the end of each month if we can pull it off.
Oh, nice.
With prizes and everything. The store supports the whole league.
Perfect.
That's really nice.
Yeah, Fate and Fury Games has been treating us very good down there.
Yeah, I really like it over there. It's turning into the hangout. It feels like a hangout too. Like it's small, it's tucked away, but it's still right there.
Perfect.
And and speaking of where the community is going, I'm kind of hoping to get small mega battles that they're together. Have a few of them I want to start out with the Battle of Diamat, the first real major battle of the Horus Heresy, and do a few of the other ones leading up to Ispan, and maybe even do a 6-part Ispan series, and just keep on going in chronological order until run out of storyline.
Just to go from book 1 to book 7, to be honest. Like I would do all of that. We just need people to do it.
That's the big thing right now. I think with the OFCC in your league, I think we'll be able to grow the community large enough to be able to do it.
Yeah.
The big thing is finding enough players of each legion right now.
Yeah, true that. Yeah, or at least a couple of steady trader and loyalist players if people have a couple of different armies.
Yeah. And I'd like to try to talk about the OFCC, or is that okay now?
Go right on ahead.
Yeah, man.
So our big major event coming up this year is we're linking up with Ordo Fanaticus and doing a 30K event at their OFCC, the Ordo Fanaticus Club Challenge. It's a weekend-long gaming event based around friendly, non-competitive gaming. They got 40K, Infinity, and I think they're even doing a Blood Bowl one. We're doing 30K. And I'd say a lot. We should forget about that. I've been on radio a few times.
I don't like, but you can.
Armies. We have, 32 slots, 16 slots aside, and we're going to do a campaign pitting one side all trader armies against all loyalist armies. So each game will make campaign points, which will go to each of your whatever side you're chosen to fight for. So whoever has basically a big giant campaign. We're going to do 3 points for soccer rules, 3 points for a win, 1 point for a tie, no points for a loss, and see which side wins, loyalists or traders. Then we're going to be giving away prizes for best loyalist, best trader, and best sportsman, which are going to we have Junk House LLC. I do believe that's your company, correct? Chris?
Sponsor 2 of those prizes. We're going to give away a golf box and a Prospero box for best painted and best sportsman at the end of the weekend.
Still working out the details with Fate and Fury, but they're going to try to do another Horus Heresy box set for best loyalist.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice, yeah.
So we'll have some pretty good prizes. OFCC has some pretty good overall prizes too. I'm not sure what they are yet. They haven't posted those.
It was a pretty good prize support. I saw Eric over there at Feed and Fury the other day looking for sponsorships.
Nice.
Do you have any questions?
Well, I mean, because your guys' event's at the end of July.
Yeah, it's the 27th through the 30th, and it's going to be at the Vancouver, Washington Hilton. For our event, the tickets are $50 for the whole weekend, and we just told you some of the prizes that you could possibly get if you were playing in that event.
Yeah, we're going to be doing 3 games Saturday, 2 games Sunday, and then Friday's going to be open gaming. Just kind of come in, throw down your army, kind of meet other people that are going to be playing in there just to have fun.
Oh, perfect.
So like the meet and greet on Friday.
Nice.
Meet and greet and warm up.
And right across the street, we have Lewitt Brewing, which are going to do a pub quiz down there, kind of a Warhammer pub quiz. So that'll be fun too. Drink some beer, hang out.
Hey, it's the best part of the game, really, is the beer and pretzels.
Yeah. A lot of beer and pretzels.
Nice. So have you guys thought about doing events before all this comes up?
I think right now we're just working on the league. I'm trying to hit up the guys who are doing Game Storm to try to see if maybe next year we can get both OFCC and Game Storms. We'll have two big events like this down here.
Yeah, I'd like to get, because they're trying to do it at the big APOC game over there, like 10,000 limit.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the Apocalypse game down there. They're doing a.
It's just the timing just sucks for us to get in on it this year. So we're going to try to include that with OFCC next year. Run two big events.
Yeah, the game. We're still kind of gathering information about it. I guess
I'm gonna go still, but it's too late for us to like run anything there.
Yeah, I guess they're gonna do 10,000 points to show up, and they're just rotating battle once you get your
kill stuff for 3 days. It's gonna be awesome.
So I don't know too much about it yet myself.
Nice.
Right on. It sounds like between what you guys have talked about and discussed, and with OFCC, and obviously seeing the Rose City group the way it is now, like you guys definitely got a progressively growing heresy scene there, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to see happen because I was in it from the beginning, and I'm still kind of the new, but there's still people coming in.
That's
And
perfect.
now you guys are talking about it.
I don't mean to naysay 40K, but a lot of people are getting a little bored with the competitiveness of 40K, so they're starting to turn over to 30K. So the group's really growing in that because of that that happening. So I love the work.
I will directly contradict that and say that because I'm a noob, I'm going from 30K into 40K. So I'm not spoiler tainted yet.
I was going to specifically talk about the older guys who have been playing it for a while.
Yeah, you guys, everybody I know hates 40K, so I'm having to go in completely competitive to even get some games in with that.
Well, that only builds strategy too.
So. Yeah, I'm not complaining. I love all of it.
It definitely changes your mindset, and even I catch myself when I'm playing Heresy. I'll start playing like a 40K gamer, and I'm like, okay, I gotta hold the reins and pull back a bit.
Which we tease you religiously about.
Oh yeah, but I can't. It's ingrained in me, man. I was in the competitive scene for too long. But
nice. Well, honestly, sounds like you guys got good plans going up. You got the escalation group coming up, the OFCC.
Yeah, starting March 3rd. I forgot to say that, by the way.
Go ahead.
nice.
The first Saturday in March.
The first Saturday in March?
Yeah, so we're starting at 8:30 p.m.
And that's at Fate and Fury Games?
Yep.
Nice. Yeah,
And you can always find an open gaming game if you hit up our group, and just every Sunday, Tuesday, and Saturday, just hit us up, and more likely you'll be able to find a game real quick.
Yep.
Right on.
awesome. So if you're
looking on there, you'll find the game.
Michael, he's from Tacoma. He's on the Northwest 30K group. He came down yesterday. Got to meet with us. Had a lot of blast. He beat my Alpha Legion. It was pretty brutal battle. It started with the Alpha Legion really hurting him, and then didn't have the staying power. And he nearly wiped me out.
yeah, he was talking about you guys quite a bit, and I was actually quite happy to hear. It's one thing I try to push on the guys up this way is don't be afraid to talk to other people, especially in different areas. And we had one. He was Chris. I don't know if it's the same Chris we're talking to now. He came up to Olympia to work for a while. Met with some guys at Tacoma and vice versa. And that's what's awesome. We got a decent community going along the West Coast. So.
Yeah, I think Derek came up there too. I think Derek came up there too and played a few games with you guys.
Yes, that's who it was. I apologize.
And John the Stidgelite came down and played in our mega battle that we did, our Ispan mega battle a few months back.
Oh, he still talks about that too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, John's a really big guy. He runs a GW store in Tacoma.
That's what I heard.
Derek's been up there a couple times.
Yeah, and stuff. He's been really good about conversions and really good about supporting the community on the south end. For us, at least in our area.
Yeah, John's really good people.
What was that?
I was going to say John's really good people.
Oh yeah, he's an awesome dude. and stuff. And one of the nicest people I know. So those who are listening, it's Rose City Heresy on Facebook. They're located in the Portland area, so South Washington, Oregon, and pretty much they got a really good group. I encourage you guys to check them out.
I think we have a few out in the gorge too that are in our group.
All the way from the gorge, huh?
I think our first guys out there is on the Dalles. I think there's like 3 guys out there that have been organizing on the booth.
Nice.
Yeah,
like I said.
Anywhere.
Yeah, so I'm reaching out to the guys in Boise, so make sure that they know about you guys as well. So the whole community in the Northwest is growing. I figure I'm just in the middle of it all, so I'm trying to push every community around.
I'm really surprised how fast 30K is growing, especially in the Northwest.
Yeah.
It's picking up a lot of speed.
So anything you guys want to talk about before we move on, or?
I think I covered most of it.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Sweet.
Well, so we've had Matt and Chris on from Rose City Heresy. I want to thank you guys very much for joining us tonight, even though with all of our technical difficulties before all this. But
thanks for having us on here.
Well, you know.
I think it's on, and it wasn't a big deal. Technical difficulties. It was pretty easy.
Hey, man, all I can say is just blame Bill Gates. That's all I can say. Just blame that dude.
That's true. So I'm sure we'll have you guys on again. Don't be bashful about posting your events. If you guys have anything you want me to post on the Northwest 30K events page, feel free to message me.
No, I didn't know there was a page. You might send me a link to
that? Sure. Yeah, I'll send you that. So, yeah.
All right, I'm out of here, so cheers.
All right.
All right, guys. Thanks.
See ya.
Okay, and we're back.
Yep. That was a nice little interview, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I just realized I went really freaking loud there. Sorry for your eardrums.
That's all right. So we got to get the whole interview thing figured out a little bit better, but we got her.
Yeah, it seems like the more people you add to an interview, the harder it gets with, sound quality and balancing and stuff like that. Like, unless we're all sitting in the same room, it's always going to be an issue of some degree or another, but it was a good interview.
Yeah. Nice guys.
Totally. Yeah. So, I mean, it like commenting earlier, like we were talking about, man, it seems like just heresy in our general areas are just growing and growing and growing.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Especially with this book 7 being released. 1,000 Suns and Space Wolves.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's excited about that. A couple of guys got their books already. I'm not one of them.
Dude,
I know you're not yet. You ordered yours?
Yeah, mine's on the way. I'm incredibly stoked for ones out of Trader Legion that I want to play.
So we're not going to go into too extensively into it, but Rob, what do you got going on? What are you looking for out of book 7?
1,000 Suns. And I say 1,000 Suns because I can't get my mind around actually like being a trader because I just don't agree with what Horus did and all that stuff. But the 1,000 Suns are such a tragically spoken story that it kind of makes me like them. I'm one of those guys that I don't like watching movies with happy endings. I like the ones with the bad endings, right? So for me to have a Trader Legion that was never actually Trader, just misunderstood and exiled under bad guidance, I'm just intrigued by it. And for me, as a fluff reason, that's why I like them. I also like them because the 1,000 Suns have always been kind of mysterious in the 40K lore, and now they're finally getting better fleshed out than just being, this is what happened to hate Space Wolves, Azek screwed over his own people, and now they're all stuck in their armor, and that's just where they're at, right? Like, it's not that anymore. But not just on the fluff side of it, but also on the game side of it. I don't plan on power gaming or anything like that. I know the Magnus Sekhmet powerful combo. I don't plan on doing that. But I do like how they are very different than every other Legion. I do like how they're very much an elite Legion. They're kind of like a Grey Knight-esque of 40K comparison. They're going to be very small, but very utilitarian, but also solely dependent on gimmicks like psychic powers and stuff.
Yeah.
Which, that's appealing to me because it's just going to be a whole new different flavor. It's not, here's your Legion rules, and you make a list around that. It's, this is what your Legion's basic rules are. This is what it can do. Now you go ahead and make a list based on your chances.
That's true. It's like the 5 classes it's going to make it interesting.
Yeah, so that's for me. That's what I'm looking forward to. And of course, knowing me, I'm going to have my 2 or 3 glass hammer gimmicky units, and then I'm going to have my 2 or 3 solid units. I know what they're going to do every turn, and then I'm just going to play, and it's going to be entertaining. I'm just looking forward to running something just totally polar oppositely different than everything else I've got. So
that's going to be awesome. And I'm just the opposite. I'm going with Sisters of Silence.
Jerk.
Stuff. I love the models, and now that I've seen the rules for them, I know how to actually model them. So I didn't know what they were going to do, so I've got a bunch of odds and ends. I got 3 with great swords, 4 with bolters, and a couple with flamers. So now I'm going to have to do a lot more modeling. So it's going to be awesome.
And you get your blimp.
I do. I'm buying 2 of them, at least.
God, like again, I will say, it reminds me of that brain alien from Starship Troopers.
And it's going to come. And it's going to get in your face, and it's going to eat your face.
Not if I levitate away from it, jerk.
It's gonna be a lot of fun, man. I'm looking forward to it. When we get the books, we'll go into a little bit more for those who are listening. I'm not going to speculate because I do agree with a lot of the people. We're seeing some very crazy differences in points.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not afraid of it. I think the Dark Mechanicum are scarier than any of them personally, but most people are concerned about Thousand Suns. They still cannot summon demons, so I don't care.
Yeah.
So
well, the thing is you know it's been over a year since we've had another Black Book. The last Black Book was Retribution, and that came out in, was it February? Or was it January?
Yeah.
But when it came out, though, it brought Black Shields, which everybody at that time was afraid of because, they could...
And Shattered.
And Shattered Legions. Everybody was reactively afraid of Shattered Legions and Black Shields when they first came out. Oh, Strength 5, Toughness 5 Marines, or, BS 5 Marines, whatever. And how many Black Shield lists have you played against?
I've played against 2.
Played against 2, and did they completely rock your salt?
First game, yes, only because I didn't realize what I was up against. Second one, once you realize. And mind you, I didn't change my list.
Right.
It's how you play. You got to play a little smarter. I'm just an in-your-face player.
Yep.
So,
but
yeah, it wasn't that bad.
And for me, I have Legions that I use as Shattered Legions lists, and for anybody that overreacted in the Shattered Legions list, there is a couple of nasty combos you can do, but they're so gimmicky, and they're isolated to one unit because of the way you have to balance your points from having to get the Praetor and the different Legion units to make it work. It's one of those things where, when it first comes out and you first read it on paper, it's like Primarch's Chosen Right of War. It's like, that is ridiculous and overpowered, and we can't do that. And then you actually play it, and
Wrong answer. You kill a Primarch, you can't score. It's okay, I can promise. I give you that one.
Yeah. It's like you look at it on a paper and you think it's ridiculous until you play it and you go, oh, that's not bad at all. That's actually appropriately costed.
Oh, yeah.
It's like...
Forge World does a really good job with that.
Oh yeah, you just have to play it and then you know what's going on. It's like I'm still more afraid of an Iron Warriors list with Iron Fire and spamming quad mortars with Phosphex than I am of anything that the Custodes could do.
You know what I'm afraid of? Dark Angels on jet bikes.
Yep, that's another one.
Yeah, we got two Dark Angel players who are getting jet bikes, and it's going to be amazing. I'm starting to see more and more jet bikes in our meta, and which is awesome because I have 12 myself, and I don't. It's like motorcycle wars, I guess. It's like, but the Dark Angels with the AP1 bolters, if they roll that, oh my freaking lord!
And it always seems to happen on crazy moments like Overwatch. That's what I find. When I played against Sam Fisher's Dark Angels, and whenever he uses acidic rounds against me in the shooting phase, it was always AP5, AP4, and then I'd go to charge him, it'd be AP1, AP2, and I was like, you son of a, you're not supposed to do that right now.
Yeah. That's what makes it fun, and it's the differences and all that. So I mean, yeah, 1,000 Suns kind of looks scary on paper. I'm more afraid of an AP1 bolter. I'm sorry, guys. You don't scare me.
Yeah, well, and
like,
and the other thing too, like as far as 1,000 Suns go, like I'm not going to disagree. The Magnus and Sekhmet combo is freaking brutal. Something needs to be done about that because that is pretty rough. But here's the other part though too. The rest of the Legion and the entire list, like everybody talks about, like, oh, you can get twin link shredding rending veterans, or you can get, these Terminators that can move 12 inches in the psychic phase and still assault and all this kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, but do you have any idea how expensive they are points wise? The army's small. Like when you build a 1,000 Suns list, it's not like a normal list where you go and I have my go-to unit and then I have my you do your job unit and then I'll just add this unit in because it'll be funny, right? No, 1,000 Sun, it's like I have 4 units. This is what I'm going to do.
Well, and thing too is one rule that a lot of people aren't taking into consideration. Yes, Magnus can't be pinned.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the army can.
Yep.
And any perils, period. The entire army that is on the table has to take a pinning test.
Yep. And if you have any debuffers for leadership, that hurts.
Oh, yeah. Every unit. So, now mind you, what's funny about that is my speculation. I've watched so many perils through the games over the last couple of years. I'm going to laugh because, like, oh, you got 78 dice. That means your army's not going to be shooting at me. I can live with that.
Yep. Well, and the thing is, too, is like, and this is what intrigues me about 1,000 Suns again, is that when you cast a psychic power, you don't just cast it like in 40k. You're just like, well, I guess I'll go ahead and get Iron Arm because I'm going to want that later. No, you have to go, do I really need Force right now?
Yep.
You have to really think about what you're doing before you cast the power. Do you have a likelihood of getting it? Yes, you do. Do you have a likelihood of perilsing? Yes, you do. Like, and if you look at like the channeling, and we're not going to go in depth on the rules, but the way that they channel the psychic powers per the arcanas that your units are assigned to, where they get to generate a warp charge on a 3-up, the reason why that's there, unlike 40k where it's just like you can cast whatever power you want, and that's awesome. No, it's a tantalizing treat to make you roll 1 dice for a psychic power. That's what it's there for. Right? So it's like you're making an armor save in the hopes of getting the psychic power you want off without the risk of perils in, which increases your risk factor. And for me, because I'm a sick bastard, I love that. I think that's fun. That's going to be fun for me as a player of the 1,000 Suns.
Oh, hell yeah. It's a risk.
It's always a risk.
The bigger the risk, the better the reward.
Yeah, and I mean, the flip over to the other side, like, to the Space Wolves part of it, man, those guys are going to be brutal, too. I mean, they're going to be the Grey Slayers and stuff, man, and the dual-wielding Terminators. That's going to be a whole other game changer, too. And that's what's good about the Heresy and adding these Legions in, is that these are all going to change up what everyone's thinking about. You know? I remember 2 years ago when everybody was talking about how Sakaran is an auto-include. You know? Spartans are auto-includes. Right? And here we are now, and everyone's lists are changing so rapidly because of what else is out there, and that's a good thing. But the bright side is there's no real power creep like you see in 40k. It's just everyone's gone from these are the Legion units you should be bringing all the time to now people are reverting back to this is what my Legion is good at, and this is what I'm going to focus on.
And I hope to see that. I love themed-based Legions. I don't care if I see 80 Terminators, not that we will, because unless it's a big game, but those 2-wound 1,000 Sun Terminators, bring them.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what they used.
Yep.
I'm not afraid of them. It's like, yes, they're 35 points a pop. That's your basic guy. You start adding stuff, they go up dramatically.
Yep.
So it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm very happy for the 1,000 Suns players and the Space Wolves players because you guys have got a really good rule set, and I really hope that you appreciate that because you have two very powerful Legions, and they actually gave you some very good rules to fit that.
Forge World did you well. They did us well.
Yeah,
they took care of them.
Yeah, and mind you, there are rules that are going to be changing. They've said that straightforward. Mm-hmm. Not so much as 40k rule set, but I mean they're going to be updating some of the Legions. We got the Angel book coming out after this one. So book 8 is going to have an updated. So we're going to see some there. Rumor has it, and I'm saying rumor because It's not been actually said by GW yet that I'm aware of that 8th edition is coming out soon. I've heard May. That's a rumor.
Yep.
When that happens, 30K is going to get a change as well as far as rule sets. It always affects us, which is going to be interesting. And this book is written for that. So that being said,
be ready.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be everybody who plays 30K realizes it's a bloodbath. So we expect not cheese but death.
Yep. Yep. And I'm going to say this too because I know we're getting kind of close to the end here, but talking about rules and the rules conundrum that I came across a few days ago. Remember me talking to you about that?
Yes. Oh, yes, the Dreadnought Drop Pod.
Are you ready for this? Should we even talk about this episode?
Actually, I got my book.
Okay. Okay. So, I want to just highlight something real quick. Okay? I've been playing with a Dreadnought Drop Pod for maybe 4 months.
Yeah.
Not even 4 months. And I've always been told it's in the rules that you can shoot at the Dreadnought inside of the Drop Pod. Okay?
You can.
And hold on.
Okay.
And by the simple factor of common sense, because the Dreadnought Drop Pod's so freaking big that I thought you are correct. You can shoot at the Dreadnought. I didn't even second guess it. Okay. So on one of our battle reports, it's going to be on the YouTube channel. I was playing against a local friend of mine, Tata, and my Leviathan Dreadnought dropped down, did its thing, stayed inside. He started shooting the drop pod. And I go, Tata, why are you shooting at the drop pod? He's like, why did you get to the Dreadnought? And I go, well, you can shoot at the Dreadnought. He's like, well, not unless it has a drop pod. And I go, yeah, I can. Look, it's in the rules right here. And I pulled up the rules, and that's when I got taken aback because per the way the rule is written and how it's worded, that's not the case at all. And before, because I know anybody listening on this, whether you're for or against this argument, you're probably pounding your fist into the desk. I have looked at the Forge World FAQ. I have pulled up the GW FAQ. I have found nothing that hits this topic. Nothing. The only thing that this clinches on is in the description for burning retros, and it's the first bullet point. And Dave, I will repeat this. I've got it up right now. But the first
I'm going to stop you right there. Here's why. I've got the actual book in my hands.
So do I.
The first is... No, okay. So let's go down. So who are listening here? Burning retros. It goes owing to the meteoric descent speed and its fiery blast of the drop pod's retros on arrival. The Legion Dreadnought Drop Pod has a shrouded special rule on the game turn it arrives. Note that this also applies to any interceptor fire or similar effects it might be subject to. We all pretty much understand that. It's
right.
Down.
Yep.
However, the first bullet point it points out, once the drop pod lands, its doors are opened automatically, but the Dreadnought inside does not have to deploy out unless the controlling player wishes. And if this is the case, though it may still be targeted by shooting attacks, it may not be charged while this rule is in effect.
Okay, so on that point, okay, it's overly worded, but the point that everyone gets hung up on is the fact that they state, though it may still be targeted. Okay?
Yes.
By
shooting attacks.
By shooting attacks. So when you read that, you immediately think, well, that means it can be shot at in the drop pod.
Yes.
Wait. On that, though, nowhere ever does it ever say you can shoot at a Dreadnought inside the drop pod. And the reason why I put that case in point is because the Dreadnought drop pod is listed as an open-topped transport. Follow me on this. Hold on. Let me say my case, and then we'll argue back.
Okay.
So when you go back to the open-top transport description in the rule book, it states that the occupants inside of an open-top transport can always fire out of the transport at a different target than the transport itself, but can never be fired upon by an outside occupant. And there's an FAQ noting that if you fire at an open-top transport or a transport of any type and the transport explodes, you can then assault the unit that was being carried inside. Now, with that, and the way that this special rule is worded, and I'm going to repeat the special rule again. Once the drop pod lands, its doors are opened automatically, but the Dreadnought inside does not have to deploy out unless the controlling player wishes. Unless the controlling player wishes to disembark this model, in this case a vehicle, from an open-top transport. And if this is the case, meaning you disembark this model, this vehicle, from an open-top transport, though it may still be targeted by shooting attacks, it may not be charged while this rule in effect. And the point that they're pointing out there is, when any unit disembarks from any open-top transport or transport of any type, they can be targeted by shooting attacks. The point they're trying to make there is, unlike other units that disembark from either an open-top or a normal transport, this particular unit that disembarks from this drop pod cannot be assaulted, unlike other units that do disembark. That's the difference. And it's the way that it's worded that gets people hung up on it. They're not trying to emphasize whether you can or cannot shoot the Dreadnought inside the drop pod, because there is nothing specifically stating you can. It's referring you back to the open top rule. What it's trying to specify that if you do disembark the Dreadnought from the drop pod, it cannot be assaulted.
That's correct. You can't assault it, but you can shoot it.
If it disembarks. And that's the clincher.
No, and that's why I'm going to go back to, it says unit type. You're correct. It says open top transport, but special.
Right.
And so you go back down to that, the very first, where it says second sentence of that first bullet point.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually one long sentence, so never mind.
Okay, so on that, hold on. Okay, you go ahead with your points. I've got a counter to that already.
But the Dreadnought inside does not have to deploy out unless the controlling player wishes, like we've said before. If this is the case, though it may still be targeted by shooting attacks, it may not be charged.
Right, but any model that disembarks from a transport can already be targeted by shooting attacks.
Yes,
and what it's saying is that you can't be
as well, even if it does not deploy.
At what point does it say that? That you can still be targeted when you're inside of the drop pod?
It says if it does not have to deploy unless the controlling player wishes.
And if this is the case, now we're talking about a separate issue. If this is the case, that's what separates it. If this is the case, though it may still be targeted by shooting attacks, which any unit that disembarks from a transport can be targeted by shooting attacks, this unit that disembarks from this transport cannot be assaulted the turn that it disembarks. That's what it's implying.
But it's the way they word it. This is going to be funny because I've got to we both run events, so we kind of got to look at this weird.
Right. So
I agree with you because I went through all the FAQs. I couldn't find anything.
So
clarify.
I did find something about an FAQ though. Check this out. So
okay.
So earlier you were talking about how it says open top transport special.
Okay.
Okay. So if you go to the Rose Heresy FAQ and you go under drop pods, it states, this is Legion Drop Pod Cal, page 36. Add the following line to the end of the drop pod assault special rule. And this is actually page, I think, 4 from the FAQ. It says, once a drop pod lands, all passengers must disembark and no models can embark for the rest of the game. Okay?
Okay.
Note that this edition does not apply to other listed drop pod types, which have their own variants of this special rule and are considered or costed appropriately to reflect this. So that special bullet point is reflecting back on the FAQ, which the FAQ is saying that you automatically have to disembark and no models can embark back inside. The reason why you have the special bullet point under open top transport is because it has additional rules that go towards the drop pod that overrides the drop pod effect, which is just that once you deploy, you have to get out of it, right? So, which emphasizes even further the declaration on the first bullet point, saying that if this is the case, right, when they stated that, after the point of you can make the decision whether you disembark or stay embarked, like you normally can in any open top transport, but which you cannot do in a drop pod, because you have to disembark in a drop pod, though you may still be targeted normally, like you would if you ever disembarked from a transport, or in this case a drop pod, you just can't be assaulted. It's never declaring that you can be fired at when you're inside of the drop pod. The reason why I even say that is because if you go further to the next bullet point, the dissipating fireball clouds the drop pod so that should the Dreadnought carried by the drop pod remain on any part of its structure, including its doors, While this rule is in effect, the Dreadnought and the Drop Pod benefits from the Shrouded special rule. The Shrouded rule also applies to any unit targeted by any shooting attack whose line of sight passes through or over the Drop Pod on the game turn of its arrival. Note that this also will affect the Dreadnought firing out through the cloud. So it's specifying that the cover save granted from the Burning Retros confers to the Dreadnought even if you disembark, but that also means that if the Dreadnought ever fires that turn that it arrived, you are granting whoever you're firing a Shrouded save. That's the deficit to bringing it. You can't be counter-assaulted. You can't be fired upon when you're inside the Dreadnought Drop Pod. But whoever you shoot at, that turn you arrive gets a 5-up Shrouded save. And it's Shrouded, which is a huge difference in the same 5-up cover, meaning it can stack from being mostly obscured or being in ruins. So you're paying for a huge deficit for a huge boon. If that was not the case, it would also specify in that rule as far as firing goes, you can fire upon the Dreadnought while embarked in the Drop Pod, not specifying the Dreadnought and the Dreadnought Drop Pod as two separate units. Which then again makes you go back to open top transport. If that wasn't the case, why are they even calling it open top transport? Because you can never embark it again.
Interesting.
Weird, right? I have done so much research on this.
Yeah, because this is one that I know that there used to be an FAQ. I seen it. I would never have done with it otherwise. That at one point you could shoot at the Dreadnought inside.
Well, and that FAQ that you're talking about was actually on the Lucius pattern Dreadnought Drop Pod for 40K. And it did come out once and then it got redacted. I can't find it anymore. For Imperial Armor 2.
Okay.
Anyways, it's extremely long-winded, and like we know when it comes to Forge World, the way they talk on their rules sometimes, they go a bit further in detail than they really should, and they imply a lot of things that you should already know beforehand before writing the rule. And then they also seem to like to write rules over pre-existing rules with no explanation why they did that, and I'm going to do case in point Furious Assault. Like, why call it Furious Assault? Just call it Furious Charge. Why do you have to leave it like that, right? But
fair enough.
Yeah, it was an intrigue. It was just intriguing, and it created a lot of homework for me.
Yeah, I would have. Yeah, because I mean, even down to LVO, we played it that way. You could shoot at the Dreadnought. Huh. Well, now we know.
Yeah, it's a lot of implications on the player assuming the knowledge of the USRs beforehand. But you always go back to, if you can do something, they will state it. If you can't do something, you always go on the basis of the deficit of the player, right? So it's one of those, like, I don't know. Yeah, anyways. Now we know.
Well, I'll say from here on, right now, as the way it states, I'll agree with you on that. So if you're playing any of my events and your Dreadnought stays embarked, does not disembark, meaning that if you don't get out on the leg or the door that comes down, you got to kill the drop pod first.
Yep, but also do know, though, if you're the Dreadnought player, that no matter who you shoot at, you're giving them a Shrouded save that turn.
Yep.
Because you're firing through that cloud, which it specifies in the second bullet point.
So, cool. Well, that's an interesting catch of a rule.
Right? And like I said, like, I read that and I was like, wait a minute. And then he looked at it and he was like, yeah, that's weird. And I go, dude, I've never actually, like, really read this rule. I just assumed that everybody, And then we started looking at it. It became a 40-minute ordeal during our game. And I was like, what is this? Yeah, so.
See, we have fun. We don't ever rules lawyer. It's fun to get together with newer players because they are looking at the rules a whole lot closer than we are because they're learning it.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so that's what happens.
Well, for me, as like, I mean, yeah, I run a Leviathan and Dreadnought Drop Pod from a Raven Guard, but I don't always play my Raven Guard. For me, it's I don't want to benefit from a rule, but I want to have a better understanding of the rules for not only my events, but because there are legions out there who make crutches on their Dreadnought Drop Pods. And it makes a huge deciding factor in how they make their lists, and I want to make sure that people understand how the rule is written. Because they could wildly. That's a huge change from just from how you can perceive the sentence being written.
Yeah.
And unless you're fluent with how the rule system in 40K works, Heresy's an expansion. The USRs in the rulebook will always overrule the expansion unless the expansion specifically writes that it overrules a USR. Right?
Yep.
And unless you had that narrowed down, that could change how a lot of people build their lists and enjoy their legions and stuff. And I mean, that one. Most of them are very minor and don't affect very much. That one's a very major one, and that's what concerned me the most, and why I spent so much time reading on it.
Well, yeah, more and more we're seeing a lot of Leviathans. We're seeing a lot of Contemptors. So yeah, that's a big deal because you got to be able to shoot them and kill them. So.
Well, even think about Castaferum Dreadnoughts, for example. They could get out of the Dreadnought Drop Pod and go into Ruins, and then they have a 3-up cover save that they're partially obscured. Or a 2-up cover save they're mostly obscured.
Well, as long as they're next to the drop pod. It does specify that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Basically, if you're firing through still being embarked. But I mean, it could play a big role. If you drop that Dreadnought Drop Pod, and with your Castaferum Dreadnought with an Inferno cannon, and you drop them in a way behind a building to where you can get obscured, that makes your Castaferum that much survivable, which makes it work for some legions better. It makes you actually think about doing that. So, it's. I'm not trying to sound like a power gamer. I'm just reading the rules.
No, it's something to be understood. Especially, rumor has it GW's coming out with plastic Dreadnought drop pods.
Yep. So,
stuff.
Pretty big deal.
It will be. That's good to know.
But I guess on that, we've rambled for a bit.
We have, but that's what makes this show.
That's true. Should we call it? Should we just bail or?
I think it's so. I'm getting tired. I'm sure people are tired of hearing our voices.
Yeah.
I doubt it. Everybody loves us.
I don't know about you, man. I just get hate mail and dick pics. That's all I ever get.
If everybody's got to show it off.
Extreme ends of the spectrum, man. It's like, I hate your guts. And then the next day, here's my dick. Dude. No.
So I do want to say those who are listening, if you are on Facebook, we're now on iTunes, which thank you, Rob, for figuring that one out. We thought we had to pay for it. Found out later we didn't.
Yeah.
And we're not saying we're poor, but we're not saying we're going to dump a ton of money into something right off the bat until it gets going anyway.
Exactly.
So if you are, please join us on Facebook, Northwest 30K Boxcast. If you have any comments, subjects you'd like to hear us cover on the show, besides our events, because mind you, what our this podcast is mainly about is covering the events and the communities in the Pacific Northwest of the United States. We will do shout-outs to people who have events going on in different areas. Our goal is to just grow the community worldwide, like every other podcast is out there. We see doing.
Network.
We're not partial.
Network, connect, grow, evolve.
Yeah, that's the only way we get big. And, if we have a decent base community in various areas, it only makes it better for all of us in the long run. So,
agreed. And also check us out on our new YouTube channel, Northwest 30K. We'll be having battle reports. We'll probably do some live feeds. I'll probably do painting tutorials or modeling tutorials or something. So please swing by, give us a like, give us a subscribe, say hi, leave a comment, call me a piece of shit. I really don't care, but come by.
Definitely. That being said as well, support your local game stores. You know who you are. We're not going to go into it. We do it once a month. We give all the shout-outs to the stores. We do shout-outs to the stores on our Facebook pages as well. So we appreciate all the support. We also appreciate all the listeners here. Post pictures of your projects as well. If you've got something going on, please let us know. Hey, I'm working on this Primarch, and this is the way I'm going for it. Show us. You don't have to do a detailed, I'm doing this with such and such shader or whatnot. We don't need to know that. But it's always encouraging to see the projects people are starting, and it encourages other people as well. So don't be bashful. I know there's a lot of painting groups out there. We're not one of them, but we love projects, and we can. Who knows? We see something you're putting on there, we may just talk about it, and if we do, you'll love it because it just makes you feel good about yourself. We're not going to put anybody down. We don't believe in that.
Nope.
Not when it comes to projects, because everybody does something different.
Hey man, if you're hobbying and you're playing, you're far ahead of the curve than everybody else, man. You keep going.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. So that being said, I'm thinking we're done for the night. We
Yep.
look forward to talking to you guys in a couple weeks. And yes, if anybody's got any questions, the Northwest 30K Invitational at Heroic Knights is sold out. However, if you want to get on a waiting list or come and hang out and join us, get a hold of me. I'm going to be there. We're going to be harassing people who are playing because we don't get to. That's what all the fun's about.
Mm-hmm.
So, good night, all, and appreciate your support.
Yep. Y'all take care. I'm going to go poop.